A badge of honor. Police officers and first responders wear badges to let their communities know they are here to protect and serve. But that's not how it feels today, and the stress of the job is taking its toll, taking lives through suicide and post-traumatic stress injury. A Badge of Honor podcast features the cast of the same name, Sam Horwitz and John Salerno. Sam, John, and the team offer the first responders workshops through their critical incident stress management teams and mental health liaisons to offer state-certified T-COLE credit programs that save lives. It's time to smash through the stigma. It's time to heal from your injury, and it's time to back our blue. Welcome to A Badge of Honor podcast. Here are your hosts, Sam Horwitz and John Salerno.
Hey, welcome to A Badge of Honor podcast with John and Sam. We are powered by the OBBM network, and we have an amazing show lined up for you today. But before we start, I just want to once again send our thoughts and prayers to those over in Hawaii who are still battling the recovery efforts for those who were caught in the wildfires over in air quote, the so-called wildfires. Those families are really struggling right now. So keep everybody in your thoughts and prayers. And welcome, Sam. How are you doing today?
Yeah, doing great, including first responders who were caught up in that. There's some just insane video out there. No, things are we're on fire here in the studio. That's all I can say. Between keeping track of what's going on with our first responders in Hawaii and our guest today, you'll understand, for those of you that are watching, why we say our studio is on fire. You know, we have got 9/11 coming up right around the corner, and here in Texas, John and everybody that works on it every single year to get it, the memorial reading of the names going. It's the 22nd anniversary. That's just mind-blowing in itself.
Feels like yesterday.
But John, you want to tell everybody where it is and where they can go to get more information?
Yeah, this year we're going to hold it on. We usually hold it on September 11th, but since they have not made September 11th a national holiday for everybody, we're going to hold it on September 10th because it's a Sunday. We'll make it easier for more people to attend. And September, and the way I look at it is September 10th is pretty iconic because in a firefighter's, in a first responder's life, we never know what tomorrow is going to bring. And September 10th, none of those 412 first responders knew what the next day was going to bring. And that's why we have to cherish each day, right? We have to hold our loved ones close because we don't know what tomorrow is going to bring. So September 10th is a very memorable day for a lot of people, especially those who worked 24 and went in that night on September 10th. So it's going to be very iconic for us to do it. And we're going to meet at Heroes Memorial Bridge in Rockwall, Texas, where we walk the bridge every month for our first responders and our veterans. We're going to start the ceremony around noon. We'll get everybody who's coming out of church, or we don't want to really disrupt anybody's life on a Sunday. So we're going to have that on at 12 o'clock. We'll be meeting there around 11. We'll have our opening ceremonies, and we'll start reading the names. And if you'd like to be a part of it, just give us an email at #WalkTheBridge, walkthebridge.org, or A Badge of Honor. We just say, hey, I'd like to read some names for the 22nd anniversary, and we will fit you in somewhere, somehow. And you can be a part of this iconic event that we've been doing for the last few years. And it's we always say, if we remember their names and we say their names, they're never really gone. So let's be a part of this. Come out to Rockwall, Texas, and be a part of remembering those who gave so much and still give.
Yeah, I think, John, you put out a notice the other day. If you go to Facebook and search Walk the Bridge, it's on the Facebook page, so follow it over there. And 9/11, this show tonight, our guest, we all have being 9/11 first responders in common. And I started off saying, the studio is on fire. We're going to bring Rob right into the studio. Rob, Fireman Rob, Robert Verhelst, thank you so much for being with us tonight. And it's an honor and a privilege to be able to. I wish we're kind of sitting across from the desk from each other. But
I really want to pat his head.
I know it.
I want to put it out.
I had to feel part of this.
Yeah, but to have like I said, the three of us together, we were all there. 9/11 impacted each of us. So just tell everybody, watching and listening about you.
Yeah, so it's such an honor to be on here. I mean, I love that, like you said, we keep the voices, the names, the people alive, and I think it's so powerful for first responders to, have a platform like this to be able to tell your stories. And thank you so much for having me on today. Kind of my backstory, I've been a firefighter for the city of Madison in Wisconsin since 2000. It seems like a long time. I've got a lot of gray hairs. That's why I'm wearing a hat. And I went out to September 11th as a rescue worker. Impactful time at a 23-year-old's life. I mean, that's something that you always remember. Something that I never talked about for a long, long time. And then finally it was doing Ironman triathlons in my full firefighter gear on the 10th anniversary in Ironman, Wisconsin, that kind of brought out the impact of how actions can speak louder than words. And when we put those actions into a forum that brings pain, brings perseverance, brings resilience, some great things can come out of that. And I sit here today still alive and still being able to be a vocal champion, I guess I could say, of the ability for first responders to be able to talk about their mental health, be able to be themselves and find great outlets to be able to continue to, be valuable assets to their communities. So it's been a great journey, and it's not ending anytime soon.
Well, that's awesome.
You
Go
bring
ahead,
up
John.
a great point, if you don't mind me jumping in real quick. You didn't speak about 9/11 for almost 10 years. And that's one thing that me and Sam bring up a lot, especially when we talk about critical incident management. Yeah. And, the 72-hour rule, and, we check on somebody a month later. We suppress a lot of those memories for a long time. And like you said, 10 years. I know Sam suppressed some stuff for a long time. I did the same as well. And then it comes out at these moments when you never really, something just triggers it. And it could be 10, 15, 20 years later. You're like, holy crap, where did that come from? And then you start, detaching from reality. Yeah. So that's why it's so important. I'm glad you brought that up, because so many of our first responders do not know that the impact of today could have an impact 10 and 15 and 20 years down the road. And that's why it's so important to really release that and get it out and not hold it in, and get the mental health therapy that you need now. Don't put it off till later. So thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah, it's such a compounding effect. And I went through many therapists, and that's another good point for people to make, is like, not everybody's made for therapy, and not every therapist is made to be a therapist. And so it's one of those things. But one of my therapists said it a great way. He said, you know what? Think about it like this, Rob. You have all these holes that you're trying to fill up with dirt. And what you're doing is you have a hole right in front of you, and you're taking the dirt from behind you and filling that hole. But then you take one step back and you fall into another hole. He's like, what if you could fill all those holes 3/4 full? Would that be enough for you? Would that be okay? Would you be okay with tripping every once in a while? And it was such a profound way of thinking about it. Like, I'm not going to be whole, and that's okay. And that's okay. That 3/4 is maybe where I'm sitting at, And so there's so many different ways of thinking about this stuff.
Yeah, I just wrote, John knows I take notes during the podcast, be okay with 3/4 because it's okay to trip. I got chills when you were talking about the 10th anniversary, doing the Ironman in your turnout gear, and the video that you have on your website of that. Now, we all have used, those of us that have done the work, to get well, to peel back the layers of the onion and fill those holes. And it looks different for everybody. John and I always say, healing it doesn't look the same. And you diving into, I'll say, very intense physical activity. You chose that outlet. Not physical activity is important for me. Ironman would probably put me in a wheelchair with my hips and my knees. But
I'm more of an iron side.
Yeah, there we go. Tell us. I would have to do it like assisted, like partially assisted. Tell us where the idea for you doing these Ironman competitions, where did that come from?
Oh, it was not a good idea.
Well, now you tell us.
I know. Now I tell you. It started out, the police and fire departments in Madison, they had a group that was going to do Ironman Wisconsin. It was the 10th anniversary. And so they wanted to do the race as a team. And I was like, I'd love to do it. But I want to do it differently. I want to do it so that I don't have to speak about what I'm going through, all the things. I want to be able to have it seen through my actions and have whoever sees it take away whatever they need from that day. And so I was like, maybe I'll do it in gear. And I was trying to look and see if anybody had done it in gear, and nobody had done it. But there's good reason why. And so I was like, okay, well, let's see what I can do. And so I actually tried it out. I tried it out as a half Ironman in Racine, Wisconsin in July. And I'm not the most brilliant individual in the world, so I didn't really check the weather, like what it's going to be like. 110 with the heat index.
Oh.
So I do the swim. I've swam for a long time. I swam well, and I rode the bike. And my coach always said, "Hey, Rob, you look like that bear on the bike at the circus." So that kind of gives you imagery. And then I get onto the run, and my bag, I have this big black bag of all my fire gear, but it's in this blacktop parking lot. That's where the transition is, going from swim to. So I open it up, and it's just like it was like in those cartoons, and has those steam lines coming up. And I'm like, this is the stupidest thing I've ever thought about doing. And I put on the gear, and I get out there on the run, and it's 13.1 for this one. And I got about 2 miles in, and I was feeling sorry for myself. I was hot. I was tired. I was like, why am I doing this? And then a gentleman came across and gave me a hug, who was racing too. And he said, I'm an FDNY firefighter. I just retired. Thanks for being out here. It was that realization of everything that we do in life, we do in our little microcosm, and we feel the pain, and we feel the pity and all that stuff. But then when you get to the reality of everything you do also has an effect on somebody else, it's so powerful to be able to have that seen from a different perspective. And the rest of the race, I really understood, and I embraced the pain. I embraced the tired, the heat, and understood when I finished that one that this is about something that's bigger than just a medal. It's something bigger than just myself going through the pain. It's something to help heal somebody that I may never know.
Wow, that's incredible. On that note, we got to take our first break. You are listening to a Badge of Honor podcast on the OBBM network. We've got the amazing Fireman Rob Verhelst with us today. We will be right back.
Move freely, America, without medical restrictions or penalty. Without medical freedom legislation in place, our rights and freedoms are one vote away from being dissolved. Move freely, America, with one voice, without fear of retribution, achieving a common goal, medical freedom. We the people make our voices heard by connecting with state legislators and engaging a constitutionally compliant medical Bill of Rights for all citizens. Individually, change is improbable, but as an aggregate, attainable. It's time to act with one voice. My voice.
And my voice.
And my voice.
And my voice.
To protect our freedom, creating one voice that cannot be ignored. This requires your voice, too. Move Freely America. Go to movefreelyamerica.org to find a chapter near you. Plug in, donate, and help our legislators defend our God-given rights under the Constitution. Move Freely America. My voice.
And my voice.
And together with your voice, we're one voice that cannot be ignored. Donate today. MoveFreelyAmerica.org.
Hey, welcome back to a Badge of Honor podcast with John and Sam and Fireman Rob. Before we left, we were talking about some of the stuff from 9/11. We were all first responders there. We all felt the after effects years later. And we've all battled it in different ways. We've all healed in different ways. And you took up a triathlon.
Not only any triathlon, the Ironman.
Yeah, the Ironman. Which I tell you, any type of exercise and any time of moving motivation, getting off the couch, stop watching the Judge Judy eating the bonbons, get off the couch and move. You don't have to do an Ironman. You don't have to do a triathlon. Just get up and walk down the block and start to heal from inside. So how did that heal you, Rob, when during the run, somebody came up and hugged you, right?
Yeah. It was so many different aspects. It was funny because like on the run is the only time people really know who I am with my fire gear and everything like that. And so on the run portion, I get a lot of energy, but the swim and the bike portion really actually helped me, I think, more because it made me think in my own head. I can only, both of you are shaking your heads. You're like, oh yeah, that's a terrible thing to do. Because, in the loneliness of, and a lot of things, I think a lot of first responders can relate to this, is when we're in our own heads, when we don't have music on, when we don't have other people around, when we don't have something that we're busy with, when we're in our own heads, we're our worst enemies. And for me, it was training myself to be able to be quiet. And on that bike, when I'm on there for 6.5, 7 hours, I was having to be my own motivator. I was having to endure the pain. I was having to know that I needed to get through that part to be able to get through to the run portion, which was the most meaningful part of it. It's kind of like, when you're contemplating and you're sitting there and you're going, is this worth it? Is my life worth it? It's getting to that next minute. It's getting to that next hour. It's getting to that next day. And for me, that ability to start to talk to myself in an appropriate manner, that I was worth it, was probably the biggest part of this whole Ironman triathlon journey. And being able to actually verbalize that to other people and have them see that in their own lives. It was so powerful, and it still is powerful today. I actually just had a knee replacement, and next year I'll be starting racing again. So
we gotta replace the parts because
they wear out.
It's, Rob, when you go to Rob's website, you'll be like, okay, he's done Ironman triathlons and he's got his bunker gear, but you hold a very unique Guinness World Record.
Yeah, it's a weird one. I tried to get it for fire gear, but I couldn't. So I had to beat somebody who wore the spandex, the things that you can leave nothing to the imagination. I know you wear them right now, John. I can't see your pants.
I am.
No, you are.
Well, I call them yoga pants.
Right. We both believe that. But so I had to beat. So for Ironman 70.3, so that's a 1.2 mile swim, 56 mile bike, and a 13.1 mile leisurely stroll in my fire gear. I had to do 22 in a year to tie the record, 23 to break it. So in 2015, I took on that challenge. The hardest part was I had still my family. I still had to speak. I still had to work at the firehouse. So I interjected this journey into that, and I finished with 23. And it was so impactful because of the challenges that came along with it, but also from the people that I got to meet along the way, and that helped me to be able to accomplish this. It was a real team effort. Let's put it that way. The guys that trade with me at the firehouse, my family, who was very accommodating to be able to allow me to do this. And then the races like Ironman themselves to be able to help me to be able to facilitate this. It's a large expenditure, but at the same point, it was such a valuable thing to be able to get out there and do it. I always say the Guinness World Record's neat. It's a paper on my wall that I have to dust. I hate dusting. But it was the journey that really led to what was important. And it got broken like 2 years later by a Marine who wore spandex again. I was like, come on. But whatever. Like I said before, it was the journey that was the memorable part. And for me, it really led to a lot of healing.
Yeah, well, it's like you said, he did it in spandex, you did it in bunker gear. So,
Right.
You've got that.
I know.
It's a little bit, it takes a lot to do that, but to, again, add the extra weight. And if you're wondering, just go to Rob's website. I'll just throw that up there right now so everybody
is there
can
a
go
picture
see
of
it.
spandex?
No, it's firemanrob.com.
No, I sent that to you via email. You didn't get that.
Cool breakdown. Yeah, no, we don't want to see the picture of you looking like a bear on a bicycle in a circus. It's the cool, to quote your coach. Thanks,
yeah,
Coach.
exactly.
There's some motivation to get off the bike right there.
Yeah.
But to go on Rob's website and see how it's really cool, how everything is broken out, what weighs what, how your stats, how tall you are, and how it all fits in, and to see how how difficult this would be, and then to hold the Guinness Book of World Records. It's like whoosh. So hence, the knee replacement. On the note of being broken and then repaired.
Yeah.
That's kind of like the analogy for what happens when we're going through PTS. A lot of us feel broken. Know that you're not broken. It's just your coping mechanisms are really skewed. So we can't make sense of what is happening up here. And plus all the hormones and everything. And we've talked about this on podcasts before, and John does a great job breaking this down in our workshop. But before we kind of transition into the next topic, which is again physical activity for you, Mr. Ninja, as well. We got to take our next break. We'll be right back, everybody. Stay tuned.
Right.
Interested in starting a podcast or TV show? Worried about what you'll say and how to keep it engaging? Think you'd like to be a guest on podcast, radio, or TV shows? Hi, I'm Susan Hamilton, owner and founder of OBBM Network, and I would like to invite you to an OBBM media training to get the tools you need for a relaxed and polished performance you'll be proud to share. Our specialized training techniques include role play, voice training, and everything you need to deliver a confident, clear, and engaging interaction. Go to offbeatbusiness.com. Go to the calendar and register for a training that's convenient for you. Dates available now, 214-714-0495.
Hey, welcome back to a Badge of Honor podcast with John and Sam and our special guest, Fireman Rob. Man, if you're just tuning in, you can always hit the replay when the show is over and listen to what we were talking about prior. We were talking about the 9/11. We all have that experience and healing, and how exercise and triathlons, and not every healing method works for everybody. So you really have to find your own. And Rob, you brought that up, that you were never one of these Iron Man type of guys that can go out and do that, but you felt a healing aspect in it, and which brings me to when you talked about bicycling and getting into your own head. Last week, we had the pleasure of having Conrad Weaver on from PTSD, the movie, PTSD 911, the movie. And he kind of said the same thing as you did, because he did what was it, Sam? 3,400 miles?
Yeah, coast to coast.
Coast to coast.
Yeah.
Yep, for first responders. So what? Oregon to Ocean City, Maryland, I think.
Yeah, I think it was like he broke it down to 1.7 million pedals or whatever it was. But he said the same thing, that bike run. You said you were on the bike run for like 6 hours and you get into your own head. But you start to learn how to deal with your own problems. Your coping mechanisms start to build up, and you learn how to do that. And I'm glad you said that, because it's not just you. Here's another person who did the same thing, and it helped him heal his secondary trauma. So for anybody who's listening, really, if you're battling, take up something, walking, biking, skateboarding, whatever it is, but get into your own head. Don't be afraid, and move on.
Yeah.
Start healing and building up those coping skills.
It's so powerful.
No, you didn't just stop there, because somewhere along the way, Discovery Channel was like, hey, you need to come on this show and the Ninja Warriors, was that what it's
Ultimate Ninja Challenge. It was so good it
Ultimate
got
Ninja
it got didn't get picked up the second season.
I don't know why, and we're not talking about the Ultimate Warrior,
No, it's not the
Ninja
obstacle
Warrior
course.
Challenge with all the going through. I call it the obstacle course.
Yeah.
This is something very different. You can Google it. Tell us how you got involved with that.
So, I'm kind of on a short list for shows, and it's kind of a weird list of being, if you're a little odd, they like you. And so I'm on that short list, and I got called for this show, and it sounded amazing because, like you were talking about, John, it's when you're in your own head, and this show was a survival show, and it was it had all the Kuji principles of the last in essence ninja on the face of the earth of lineage. And so they had us do different things. Like the first 3 days, I think it was 2 or 3 days, we were stuck when they took us to, there was 3 different places where people were. And some of the others were Marine Corps sniper. Another was an Army vet who lost 22 of his soldiers to suicide after they left. I mean, a lot of just crazy things that people were going
through. A fireman, a Marine, an Army vet.
I know, and this random fireman, and we got stuck up on this right below the glacial melt. There was all rock. It was the most beautiful thing. We're in British Columbia, and we're sitting up there, and literally you have nothing to do. And we're bracing for the nighttime, which gets down to like a -15, -20, with just wind sweeps, and we have nothing really up there. And so I was going crazy. So I'm catching crickets. that was my occupying my time. But it was the same concept of getting in your own head. How long can you last in your own head? And one of the most valuable days that I was on there, we got stranded on an island for 3 days, and I was with a gentleman who was in the Navy, and the gentleman, like I mentioned before, who was in the Army. And we were sitting around the fire, and I have this piece of baby blanket that I got at September 11th. On the last day, I found it. And I kept it and carried along with me as a reminder, like to kind of live forward, to continue to move forward. And I carried it with me through all the races, everything like that. And I brought it on the show, and I had it in my pocket, and I told these guys about it, but we were sitting around the fire one night, and JD goes, Rob, throw that blanket in the fire. I was like, what are you talking about, JD? He's like, it's been holding you down. It's not helping you. It's holding you down. He's like, your purpose has been with you the whole time. It's you. And it was so powerful. I threw it in the fire that night, and it was one of those things where you just don't know what's holding you down, what memories are holding you down, what mementos or things that you feel like are powerful to you. But realistically, the biggest power that you have is the passion that runs inside of you. And it's hard to see sometimes when you're really down.
Wow. That resonates with me.
I knew that was going to get you, John.
That resonates with me big time. And Sam will tell you, before I had this flag on the wall, behind me was all the headline newspapers from 9/11.
Okay.
And every time I walked into my studio, I would see those. And I kept them as mementos. I kept them as, just reminders. But we don't know the damage that does to us, because in our heads now we just keep reliving it. Yeah. We keep reliving it. Yeah. So, wow. How hard was it to
I can't
release it?
Yeah, it was. I mean, I got chills right now because I remember. I mean, it's like it was yesterday, but to be able to put it in there, because I carried it on all those races that I did. All the races that I did, I carried it with me for the longest time on my fire gear. And to put it into the fire, to understand the power that had to be able to kind of release me from that burden was huge. Now I could start living my life, start doing the things that I needed to do to help myself and my famay.
Did you get like an immediate rush of like
I hadn't eaten in like 8 days, John. So
what happened to all the crickets?
Well, do you see me? I'd have to kill a whole continent of crickets to make this thing work.
Well, I would say that is a very cool concept for the show. And I don't know if anybody from Discovery is listening, but you should definitely bring it back.
Yeah.
Because if you think about everything that has come since then, that would resonate with a lot of people, especially.
And you
in the
don't have to be
times that
naked
we're
either,
living in with
or afraid.
You don't have to be naked or afraid.
No.
Nobody wants to see that.
Nobody wants to do that. Hey, before we take our next break, I'm just perusing your website.
Yeah.
And when you talked about you look like the bear and the whole bit, that whole thing. And when we come back, I want to really talk about the Fireman Rob Foundation mission.
Yeah.
Because I want one of these bears. I want one of these bears, and I'm going to donate, and I want to find out, the story behind the bear.
Definitely.
We will be right back to find out about the story behind the bear.
The story behind
the bear. Stay tuned, everybody.
Hi, welcome to Heroes in Action. I'm Ray Amanat, founder and creator of this training system. I originally made it so that everyone can train for free. We have programs for kids, for women, families, and businesses. I'm an author, speaker, and educator on everything that has to do with violence and bullying prevention education. If you'd like more information about who we are and what our programs are, please go to our website at heroesinaction.us or give me a call if you have any questions at 727-314-2534. We hope to see you here to train.
Hey, welcome back to A Badge of Honor podcast with John and Sam and our special guest, Fireman Rob out of Wisconsin. Man, it's been an impactful show so far. There's so much information on your website that's so easy to navigate through, but you provide so much for so many. And I just clicked on the Bear for Hope, and I want to know a little bit about it because I like what you're doing for the kids and what this bear represents.
Yeah. So I started that in 2013 because I wanted to have a foundation where 100% of what you donate goes to what it's supposed to go to. And it was one of those things where I was like, I could get a 501c3 and make it all everything and pay for all these things. But I wanted 100% of the dollars that go in, go out. And I myself, through my speaking, actually pay for the shipping of the bears. And the premise behind the bears is we have a simple saying called SMILE. Simple moments impact lives every day. And it's so true in this fact because the bears symbolize just hope. It's a hope bear. And what it does, it's the most cuddly bear. It's a GUND. It's gund bears. They're so cuddly. And what happens is a child gets a bear and it releases those endorphins. It helps them to feel like they're not alone, kind of like your shirts. And the biggest thing that's cool about this is I always have people throughout the country will say, hey, we'd love to be able to deliver some bears to the hospitals. I was like, okay, well, how many do you want? How much do you have for to be able to donate? And they're like, oh, we have 300. Okay, well, it's $10 a bear. That's $10 a bear. So I'm like, okay, well, that's 30 bears and I'll ship them out to you. Just send me, send the 300 and then we'll do that. And so they get to deliver them. So the impact is not felt by just myself. It's felt by the people that have worked hard to be able to donate these bears to these individuals. And it was hard during COVID because, you couldn't deliver it to the individuals themselves, but you're able to be a part of something bigger than yourself. And I think that's the biggest thing behind the Fireman Rob Foundation was that to be part of something bigger than yourself. And it's been such an amazing adventure. We've went to, I think it's been 47 states and 3 different countries that bears have been donated to. So it's pretty amazing.
You're looking at, I'm looking at the website now and you see the smiles on the children's faces as they're receiving them. It's wonderful. And you're so right. A bear can mean so much. And, like we see police officers and firefighters carrying different stuffed animals on their trucks for accident victims, for domestic violence victims, for these kids to hold on to. It gives them a sense of security. but like you said, it does release some stuff. It gives them that safety net, and it brings them out of their mental anguishes that they're going through. So I love it. I love the concept. I love the bear. I love that it says Fireman Rob on the bottom.
We had, the coolest part about that. So the Fireman Rob Foundation, those bears. So we had those in. So we had a special run made of all of those, and actually the Milwaukee Bucks were a huge contributor that year to help make that happen. It was actually the same year as the Guinness World Record, and we had 5,000 bears that we delivered that year.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah. So it was, that's what it always hits me, because it's like to see huge organizations and different individuals be able to contribute and see something beyond just the monetary ROI or anything like that, and see the impact that you can make in a smaller scale like I have. It's just so awesome to see. So awesome.
Did you design the bear?
Yeah.
You did?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the one that we had for that year with the foot and everything, the bear, the hope, I called him Guinness Bear that year.
Well, he's kind of Guinness colored.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I like that. That's who I need to get the sponsor.
You change the color each year and stuff like that as well.
We have
white bears, some brown bears.
Yep. So we do a lot of different ones, and that's, make them kind of individual and custom. So it's kind of cool. We've had different bears that we sent to New Zealand. I did a race there, and we had some different ones that we brought down there. And so it's the nice thing is I've worked with Gund for many years, and they're just such a giving company and such a great company. They have never changed the price on me, even though I know that they've gotten more expensive. And it's just such a cool aspect to have. I always love getting
a $10 donation. You can do for a $10 donation to be able to do this, to put a smile on a kid's face. That's nothing. We spend $10 on a Starbucks coffee. Well, I don't, but people do. Take that $10, give up that coffee, and buy a bear for somebody. The smiles are priceless on these children.
Oh, I got a great, I'll give you a quick story. Mother from Colorado. So somebody had donated some bears. They had taken the bears over to one of the children's hospitals in Colorado, and I received on a messenger from a mother, and there was a picture attached, and it was a little boy hanging onto the bear, and she said, I just want to say thank you. My son has been going through a lot of different medical conditions, and he had to go through a whole day of getting poked, prodded, imaged, everything like that. They gave him the bear in the morning. He never let it go. They let him take it through every single intervention that he had to have. And she's like, that it made his day. And thank you. Wow. And it was just those simple things. It's like we feel like we have to have grand gestures, but it's really comes down to the little simple impact that you can make on this world.
You don't know what that does. It changes somebody so much. Bear, what me and Sam talk about, basic humanity, just giving a little bit can mean so much to somebody that is struggling so hard, can change their whole perspective of life.
Oh, by far.
Yeah, absolutely. And so go to firemanrob.com after the show, and
not right now.
And you can make your donation directly to get the bears are incredible. They're adorable. So we've also got a book.
Yes.
Yeah. When did the book come out?
So the book has been out for a while. Gosh, that's a great question. I wish I knew that. I think it was 2015. I think I tried to pack everything into 2015 that I could. But the book came out, and I always live off of 7 principles. I really kind of sat down after a few years of doing Fireman Rob and figured out, I have to have what fuels me, what drives me. And I came up with 7 principles, and it's passion, ownership, decisions, emotional control, resilience, faith over fear, and mental strength. And how those all combine together is once you have your purpose and your passion, you can start to take ownership of your life. You can start to take ownership of the decisions, the big decisions, the small decisions, while having emotional control to not let other people persuade you, and being resilient in the fact that you have faith in yourself over all the fears that surround us, inevitably getting the mental strength to be the person that you want to be. And that's kind of the book is, I'm not a big reader. I'm a fireman. If I could have
So
made
you're
a
a
picture,
napper. You nap.
yeah, if I could have made a picture book, I would have. But it's really short. It has stories in there that relate to what people are thinking about the thing. It has action steps. It's an easy read. It's a quick read, and that's what I wanted it to be. And I love when people take notes and put them in their books. So that's what I there's areas for people to take notes and all that good stuff. So.
Well, that's awesome, and you can also get it by visiting the website. And so we're going to take our next quick break, and we're going to talk about how you took those principles and you turned it into a course that people can really dive into. So we got to take our next quick break. We will be right back with Fireman Rob.
To the Health Engineer Show. I'm Cliff Buckley, the Health Engineer, right here on the Offbeat.
Hi, I'm Larry Cortamper. This is
Hi, my name is Susan Hamilton, and you're watching Offbeat.
Hi, this is Doreen Milano. Welcome to Big Ideas Small Business, where we will talk to Terry Arjala.
Hey, welcome. That was quick. Woo, too fast.
I said quick break.
Yeah, it was a quick break. It was like, woo. Right
She
there.
wasn't lying.
Welcome back to a Badge of Honor podcast with John and Sam and Fireman Rob. Man, we've been getting filled in on such an interesting journey of Rob's, and impactful, meaningful, and just giving everything that you've been doing. I just pulled up we just discussed about the Forge and Fires, the book. On your website, you can get it off Fireman Rob's website. But the bears, the book, the giving aspect, the triathlons, and this all plays into the mental health healing of a first responder, right? But a lot of first responders do not have the motivation. And like you said, you're a napper, you're not a reader. You know,
Yep.
You know, what gives you the strength to move forward?
You know, it comes down to that first thing that I talked about is finding a passion or a purpose. And, you know, in that 10 years that it took me to figure out kind of where I was, I mean, I drank in excess. I drank alcohol in excess. I didn't really do things that were making any sense. I didn't make the decisions in the right way that I needed to be a benefit to anybody, really. And I think it's just taking that first step and saying, what am I going to do this for? What am I doing this next minute for? What am I doing this next hour for? And if you can start to identify these little purposes in your life, these little passions in your life, you can start to create a better plan for yourself moving forward, because it's not about running 26.2 miles. It's about taking one step to get, 10 feet. That's really what it comes down to. And I think so many people try to think, I need to heal. I need to get rid of my my post-traumatic stress. I need to get beyond my depression, my anxiety. You know what? I'm sorry to say, but you're not going to. You are living with it. You know, I always say, are we able to swear on the show? I didn't even know.
Yeah.
Okay. You can bleep me out. I don't care. But one of my favorite things, one of my favorite things to say to people is fuck it, own your normal. Because the biggest thing you have to understand is what my normal is not what yours is, John, what yours is, Sam, or what anybody else is. I have to own my normal, and my normal is going to change, and my normal is going to be different every single day. And the more that people can start to take that and not try to be like somebody else and not try to live under somebody else's constraints of what this is supposed to look like, you can start to take steps without that pain, without that agony, without that shame or guilt. And I think that's the biggest thing that we have to start to learn as first responders.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. And that is great. You fit right in with Jeff, who we do workshops with, and he, dropping the F-bomb, but it is true. And you have to own, you truly have to own that normal.
Yes.
Stop playing the comparison game. But in order to get to that ability to say, well, fuck it, I'm really going to own it. Sometimes you need a little help to create that success recipe, if you will. And that's where your course around the principles from your book come in. You got to be a lifelong learner especially if you've had the traumas, if you have PTS, because it's bringing new things alongside you, opening and expanding your mind. Be like, hey, let me try that. Oh, yeah, that works. I can take the step forward. I feel more quote unquote normal. I can own this day. Tell us about that.
So yeah, the course I put together, it's kind of an add-on. It's one of those things where, for people to just be able to go into it daily or go into it when they need to be able to take away little tidbits of information. And I think you hit it on the head, is where you have to have a growth mindset. And I know it's so hard. And I sit here and I'm in a different place than I was, but if I didn't start the process, I wouldn't be to where I am now. And even just taking one piece, I go into my speeches, and when I stand up there, it's kind of like this course is, I don't expect to change your life. I'm not giving you the magic pill. I am giving you pieces of advice from my life that helped me to still be here today. Whether you take one piece of that advice, 2, 3, or just say, man, that guy's crazy, whatever it is, at least you're taking one step forward. Right. And for the course, the cool part of the course is like whatever I make from that actually goes back to those bears. So I mean, that's a nice thing. It's like, I want people to get better. And I think that's the ultimate mission and ultimate message, is that, the more that we can find ourselves, the more that we can give back and help others find themselves.
Let me touch one thing on what you're just saying. On you were drinking, right? You said you were drinking, and it was
in excess.
And this is where, like, when me and Sam do our family workshops, a support network is so important.
Yeah.
Right. Because that's really what's going to push you. And if the family doesn't understand what you're dealing with or what you're going through, it's hard for them to be as supportive.
Yeah.
Right. So how is yours, if you don't mind, how is your support network going through this? Because we see a lot of failures that could have been saved if there was more understanding.
Right. No, and I think, I'm very transparent in what has happened in my life. And I've went through 2 marriages, and my wife now is the most amazing and individual to be able to help push me to be able to find the right therapist, I haven't drank in 4 years now. And thank you. It's one of those things where it takes somebody to be honest and say, you're being a jackass, or you're not being functional. Those things, and then not be defensive. And I can't say that I'm perfect right now. That's the thing, is like, I still have my faults and my errors, but it's one of those things where the support network is huge, but it's also understanding what parts of your support network are going to help you where. And I think that's where a lot of people will go, well, my buddy's at the firehouse, or my wife is supposed to be this. And it's like, it's not, everybody isn't for everything. And I think that's where we have that understanding of like podcasts like this, where it's so powerful to have many different voices telling you many different things. When we arrive on a fire scene, and equate a fire scene to like a mental illness challenge, we don't come with one tool. We come with a truck that has many different tools. And that's what we have to think about when we look at mental health, is that I can't just have one tool for my mental health. I have to listen to a bunch of people and understand that not all of those tools will work for me, but I'll have them on my rig just in case I need them sometime.
Yeah, and that's what we talk about, building your wellness and resiliency toolbox, because on any given day, once you've got it in you from wherever you learned it from, and you're like, hey, I can employ that now. You've changed the negative talk. You've talked yourself, off a cliff, whatever it is. The fact that you possess those very powerful tools. And I think in some ways it's best because it didn't come from us necessarily, right?
Yeah, right.
Because it's that connection with somebody else to see that, just like our shirts say, you are not alone. Right. And so when you have that connection, and that, oh, you went through it too, and oh, he did this and she did that, I can get through this too. So that is phenomenal. Rob, where do you kind of camp out on social media where people can connect with you?
So yeah, they can go to LinkedIn, and the other LinkedIn is my biggest one that I stay on. I love the professional aspect of it. I love just being able to liaison, because a lot of the things we learn in the first responder community really relate well to business. And a lot of the things in business really relate well to first responders if we actually look at how to apply them. And so I think it's always a great place there, as well as you can go to my YouTube that I'm going to fix. Sam's so nice. I have a bunch of videos on my YouTube channel that you can go to. It's I can't even remember what it is, Sam, anymore.
It's Fireman Rob, right?
It's
YouTube.
Fireman Rob, but it's the YouTube is Forged in the Fire's Mindset. And so it's on YouTube. There's a bunch of videos on there. There's some inspirational videos. And I'm going to continue to update that. And I also have some episodes from my podcast on there as well, Forged in the Fires with Fireman Rob. And it's always fun to be able to talk with individuals like yourself who are impacting and inspiring people. And it's so cool to be on here.
Well, this has been fantastic. And Rob, you bring so much to so many people, not only the first responder community, the spouses of first responders, family members, but also, like you said, the business community. We thank you so much for being with us tonight, for all of your time and dedication and devotion to others. Folks, if you are listening, go to firemanrob.com. For those of you who are watching, it's on the bottom of the screen here, and think about making a donation to Fireman Rob's foundation to get those bears. It's so awesome. Put a smile on a kid's face. So Fireman Rob, thank you. We will be in touch. Definitely. And this has been awesome. Keep doing awesome stuff. You got more records that you got to set.
Oh boy, let's see if this knee will hold out.
Hey, well, it's brand new, so
brand new. It better hold out, right? It's a new Porsche.
No more spandex. No more spandex.
First time I get a picture, I'm sending it to you, John. Thanks so much.
Thanks so much.
Thank
Take
you,
care.
Rob. Appreciate it.
Oh, wow. That was fantastic. Again, firemanrob.com his website. Go there. So many. He starts out with his story and everything. So for those of you who continue week after week to come on spend this hour with us, thank you so much. Don't forget to subscribe and follow us across all social media. And, we have got a huge workshop coming up on this Friday with our partners at Garland Police Department. There is still space available to get in on that. If you want to do that, it's 8 hours. If you're in, for everybody coming, if you apply for TCOL, we got you covered 8 hours right there. We feed you all day. Thanks to our partners at Chick-fil-A and Dickey's Barbecue for providing all the food. Just go to abadgeofhonor.org. .org. That's right. So you'll see you end up in the same spot. So badgeofhonor.org, you can click on events, see everything that's going on everywhere that we will be, and please get involved. To our amazing partners at Carry the Load, we are part of the Continuum of Care program. Thank you for doing what you do. Every year we're down at Riversham Park as the 5 relays that are nationwide come together so we can all be together and thank our veterans, our first responders for doing what they do every single day for changing lives, whether it be in the mental health aspect or, doing things like continuing physical challenges that Carry the Load does. And we've got another one where day of service on 9/11, but you can also participate in the challenge. So if you want to check out Carry the Load, go to carrythelode.org, or again, our website, click on the logos. We also want to thank the Communities Foundation of Texas. We're now a partner, and mark on your calendars, North Texas Giving Day, which is September 21st. You have the opportunity to make a direct donation to us through Communities Foundation of Texas. Again, that money goes to first responders and veterans so that they can build their wellness and resiliency toolboxes in our workshops. And part of that community, the Continuum of Care that I was just talking about, we have a great partner in that from Wind River Ranch, and they've got a couples healing. I got to put on my glasses because I can't read. Couples healing, the Healing Warriors couples getaway. So if you're a first responder veteran, you want to get away with your significant other, September 6th through the 10th. They've got a cabin for you. All your meals are included. All you do is pay for airfare to and from Wind River Ranch. So if you want in on that, go to windriverranch.com or just go to our website, fill out the message board right there, put in the subject line Wind River Ranch Getaway, and we'll get you hooked up with them, in a heartbeat. Take advantage of that because you deserve a getaway together. It'll be very healing. For all of the first responders, we pray for you every single day. Thank you for what you do for our veterans. Thank you for fighting the good fight, for allowing us to do shows just like this. And I failed to mention that Fireman Rob is an Air Force veteran. So thank you for that, Rob. For doing that, and for all of our active duty personnel that are serving, keeping our shores safe no matter where they are across the globe. Thank you so much. I almost called you Rob. I almost had a John moment. John, it's the fireman thing. Take us home.
I'm just going to quote something I saw on Facebook today, and it hit home, and it really means a lot. It's like, if you're feeling down, think about a disco ball. Think about a disco ball. A disco ball is a bunch of broken pieces of glass put together to shine a light on something else, to shine a light to make something beautiful. So when you think of a disco ball, we're all broken. We're all sometimes shattered in pieces. But when we get back together, we're still broken, but we can still shine a light. Don't ever forget that.
Love it, partner. Till next week, everybody. Take care.
Peace.
A Badge of Honor podcast is produced for the OBBM Network podcast and protected under copyright law. For content permissions, please submit your request to abadgeofhonor.com on the content page. For OBBM Network programming information, please call 214-714-0495 today.